you need to have a budget based on the same cash flow projection you had that says, I'm going to spend this amount of money on rent, this amount of money on salaries, this amount of money on marketing, this amount of money on even just restocking. That financial plan should be followed to the letter. If you're the kind of person who you'll see something on the internet and you'll be like, oh, I think we need that. Or you did see someone will come and pitch to you a system and you're like, oh, I think we need that. And you've not factored it in the budget, you're going to likely be in a lot of trouble. Ideally, large organizations will do budgets annually and then have those reviewed continuously. Obviously, by the time you get to September, October, your budgets are not making sense. So you ensure that you're continuously reviewing and say, okay, there's a new tax that has been introduced, we need to review our budget. Or the forex exchange has changed, like whatever is the value of the dollar has changed. Or you are talking about maybe you maybe had to do an increment, or you suddenly needed to hire. So all the changes that are forced on you as a business owner have to be loaded onto the budget, so that you're always on budget and there's someone keeping track. Then work well with your accountant. And I always tell my clients, don't hire a yes person to manage your accounts, because you're not getting any financial advice. Get someone who will be able to tell you, no, boss, from the way we're running, we're likely not to be able to be profitable this month. Or they're able to tell you, I think we're spending too much here. Or I think you need to increase the revenue. This is not meeting its targets. And remember, if you're selling different SKUs or different services, you need to have an individual target for all the services that you have, so that they're able to track, this service is doing well, this one is likely not doing well, this one, we have not had any sales, probably we need to shut it down, so that we're not spending on marketing for things that are not selling. So it's important to have a good financial person, whether they're internal or whether they're a consultant, someone who you can talk to and who can advise you on how to manage your money. If you don't manage your money, it doesn't matter how much you put money into that business, it's just a gaping hole and it's going to suck you dry, and you're going to end up in serious, not just debt, you're going to be insolvent. And insolvent means you now have to declare bankruptcy, and then now that's problems you don't want in your life. So just ensure you're getting your finances straight, ensure you have a budget, plan financially, and always ensure you're mitigating risk. This is something I see we don't do. You create a plan for the year, but you're not thinking about what could go wrong. Sometimes what could go wrong does not happen, but if you have a plan for it, even better. Say if you've been looking at the country and you're seeing the financial situation is not so stable, plan for it. If you think that there might be competitors coming into your space, plan for it. What will you do then? If you think then customers will change their preference, or there's technology that's going to affect your industry, plan for it. If you don't plan for it, then you're always caught off guard. And a lot of companies, needless to say, have gone down that road. Okay, so I'm going to go through some questions that we have received earlier. I've applied for 12 tenders in the last year, hoping funding will finally give me a breakthrough. Meanwhile, my core business remains shaky. Have I been chasing capital to cover up for a weak foundation? Yes, the answer would be yes. Why? Because if you're going to do tender business, you need to know that, first of all, this is a high risk. It's a high return business, so it's likely very high risk. So if you're doing tender business and you're now borrowing to fund, especially, and I wish we knew what you are borrowing for. Are you borrowing for operational expenses? Are you borrowing to cover the cost of the tender? Are you borrowing for other things, or are you borrowing to even bribe for that tender? You have to be very careful what you're borrowing money for. Loans are not okay. So depending on your faith or whatever you believe in, many businesses will run successfully on loans. However, the loan has to be planned for correctly. You can't be borrowing for operational expenses. You cannot be borrowing for salaries. You cannot be borrowing for you can borrow for things like you want to buy new equipment, or you are expanding, and so you already can see that the trajectory says that you're likely to make sales. In fact, I prefer a situation where your cash flow is so good that if you are told to pay for that expansion with your own money, you're able to. So it's only healthy for businesses that are healthy. It's not healthy for businesses that are shaky. So if you're borrowing to fund an idea, or you're borrowing for business that you're not guaranteed of, because remember, you're not the only one who's applied for the tender. There's so many other people who've applied for it, and you can't now base a loan or any kind of capital on business that you're not sure of. So that is just risky business. I would not advocate for it. Alright, so another question we've received. My business partner wants us to take a big loan to scale faster. I'm not sure we even maximize what we already have. How do I know if we need capital or just a smarter approach to growth? How you know? Because yes, you can borrow to scale, but also it could be detrimental if you're not ready for it. How you know you're ready is you already have enough cash to maybe fund 60-70% of that growth. You're not applying for funding when you have zero capital. But this also depends on, I wish we had more details on which kind of business is it, what kind of scaling it is. But I would be very careful. I'm not saying no, don't take the loan, but you have to be very careful to know that, first of all, that you have cash flow, a positive cash flow, that you are being profitable, you have cash in the bank, and you're able to now, your accountant is able to draw projections based on previous performance that can support that growth. Like whatever profit you're going to make can support the payment of that loan. Remember, in your profit and loss statement, you're not allowed to put the loan installment as an expense. You can only expense the interest. So that means that loan has to come from somewhere, and it can only come from your profit. So you can't be able to sustain a loan if you've not planned for it in terms of currently I'm making so much money. I could use my own money maybe to fund 50-60% of it, but let me use somebody else's money so that I'm able to accelerate and I'm still liquid. Okay, so that is a good point to borrow. That's a good position to borrow from, as opposed to I'm completely cash strapped and I want to borrow. It's a tricky situation there. All right. So another issue that would cause cash flow problems, or that you are broke, is what we call a weak revenue model. What does that mean? Inconsistent sales, or you're depending heavily on a few customers. I have a few clients who rely on 2 or 3 clients who, yes, are doing big business. A client probably is giving you 20, 30, 40 million in one sale. However, the risk is so high because all it needs is for a change in management at your clients, or a more aggressive competitor, or change in technology to completely lose that revenue stream. I've seen too many clients fall because they were heavily invested in 1 or 2 clients. And this happens a lot, especially for people who do business with telcos. Because, listen, how many telcos can you serve? Only as much as the ones in your particular country. So like where we are, there are maybe 4, 5 telcos. But then if 50% is coming from one client, you are constantly at risk, and I would be diversifying my product so that I'm able to get other clients or other revenue streams so that I am not heavily relying on one customer. So the revenue model there is off. Now, another problem with the revenue model could be your price is low. I think that's we have already discussed that earlier. But if your price is too low to cover your profit margin, that is just a shaky revenue model. You're not in business. Again, you're doing an expensive hobby. So it's very difficult to ensure you're profitable. Another thing, you have what we call, and this one I'm very excited to discuss, a high customer churn rate. If you have customers who come once and leave and never come back, or they come once or twice and leave and never come back, you have a very high churn rate. What this means is ensure your business model ensures that customers keep coming back. Even if you're selling something like houses, say you're a real estate company and you're selling homes, ensure you have a model where your customer is able to buy house number 1 from you, house number 2 from you, house number 3. You've convinced that customer that beyond buying your own home, you're able to buy houses for investment. So buy another home to set up an Airbnb, buy another home, rent it out, buy another home, do something else with it. If you only have customers who come and buy once from you, that is a very poor revenue model. Customers are easier to keep than getting new customers. It is always cheaper to keep your customers than it is to acquire new ones. If you're always acquiring new ones, you'll find that your marketing cost is extremely high. Maybe let me give another example for a business that depends on, I don't know if one of our clients here is willing to allow us to use her example. Say you sell maternal products and people don't give birth in eternity. They only give birth twice or thrice or 4 times. If your business does not allow for referral, so for example, if you've given very good services or very high quality goods to somebody and you're not expecting them to come by because it's just not the life cycle for that particular service, you need to ensure you're always collecting referrals, because also again, getting referrals is easier than acquiring a new customer. So your revenue model should allow for repeat business and referral business, so that you're not continuously having to look for new customers and you spend way less when you're trying to retain that customer. So your strategies always need to think about, what is my customer's experience? From when they interact with my brand, from when they come and maybe they give a call to us and they are asking us how do we buy from you? Is your process quick? Do they get the information they need? How are they treated? Are they happy with how they're being treated? Was the service quick? Did they get a convenient option from you? Maybe did they need something delivered to their house? Or did you go above and beyond to ensure that they had a fantastic experience? Were the goods or services of high quality? Are you beating your competitors at the game? So you're constantly looking, how can I be better? Because that now fixes the problem we have in terms of churn rate. We want to ensure that they have such a beautiful experience that they have to come back. All right, so I think we have now time for a call from one of our callers. We have a call from a gentleman called Calvin.
Hello.
Hi Calvin, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm very well.
Yeah, yes.
So you had a question for us today?
Oh, yeah. I have a question.
Yes.
So I was asking, what are the signs that my business problem is strategy related and not just lack of capital?
Well, there are quite a number of reasons. When you are able to tell, first of all, you don't even see, you always approach it from that it is strategy related.
Okay.
Always approach it from that angle. You're not seeing if it's a capital issue, especially if the business has been running. So the only point where a business is underfunded is when it is starting. When it is underfunded, when it's starting, then you already have a problem.
Okay.
But if you've been running for some time,
Okay.
and then you run out of money, then it is not an investment issue, it's likely a strategy issue.
Okay.
So now you approach it from now, where you are, where are you failing? Is it a matter of cash flow? Is it a matter of budget? Is it how you're selling? Are you meeting your sales targets? Have you priced your products correctly? Are you making a profit? If you're not making a profit, you immediately know that's a problem you have. If you're making a profit but then you're not seeing the cash in the bank, there is a problem with collection, it's a problem with maybe inventory, or you have too much stock. So now you start, you now need to start figuring out where the problem is. So if you have a profit and you're not seeing money in the bank, then now start figuring out, is it our customers are not paying, or are we holding too much stock, or there's something happening where we are overspending, we don't have a budget.
Sure, makes sense now.
When you're working with influencers, is how well do they engage their audience? So the influencer could be right, they have the large following, they talk to their demographics are yours. But because they don't engage their followers, they don't respond to comments, they don't laugh with them, they're not doing anything to engage their followers, they might have a huge following, but it's dead. It's a dead audience, and the algorithm knows that. So they don't actually convert for you because not too many people are seeing your advert. So it's very important that you were very, very careful when picking an influencer. Pick someone who engages with the audience. Check if they're doing their stories. Check if they're commenting. When you're having that conversation, let them show you their engagement, so that you're not picking someone just because they're famous, but you're picking them because they're able to convert for your business. And then make sure that it is one of the strategies that your business is using to get customers, to learn who you are, to learn what products you're having, the kind of impact you're going to make. And that's a whole other conversation, and I know I'm going out of tangent, but it's important that you know that influencers are good, but use them correctly. Don't use them and now you've paid influencers and then you sit back and wait for sales. It's going to be really, really tough for you. So just to close, on the whole issue is just to think about from the beginning when you are starting your business, when you are coming up with your business plan, what did your business plan tell you needed to have to actually make money? So I see a lot of people going into business underfunded, and that I think is a problem we have in this continent that we really need to fix. So your business is the kind that will require heavy advertising, heavy marketing. You know you need to have billboards across town. You know you need to be spending $500,000, for example, on marketing every quarter or every month, but yet you invest so little in the business, or you underfund a particular arm. So you start a business, you spend money on aesthetics, a nice office, etc., but you're not spending money on the essentials. You're not spending money on sales. You're not spending money on marketing. You're going to run into a problem because you will not meet your sales target, and then you will be cash strapped. And you'll be left there with your beautiful office, and there'll be no one to buy from you. So it's important that you fund your business correctly. If your business plan said you need to find yourself 10 million shillings, or you need to find yourself $1 million, regardless of how much you want to come up with for your plan to work, you really do need to find that money, so that you're not starting a business bootstrapping and then expecting the results that the plan was to give you. If your plan said you would make $1 billion shillings if you spent $1 million, or depending on what you had agreed, don't expect to still make those kind of sales if you're not going to put in the kind of money your business plan required. So you must ensure that you fund your business correctly from the beginning, so that now what is now carrying you forward is the strategy. You have to start with a properly funded business, then carry forward with the strategy. Am I saying that you cannot bootstrap? No. I'm saying if you're going to bootstrap, then have manageable expectations. So you can't have a business you started with nothing and expect to make millions in a month. It's a fantasy, and for a lot of people this is not going to be a reality. Ensure your business is funded if it requires funding. If it doesn't, then manage your expectations and now think about strategies to make sure you still get your customers. It is possible to start with almost no capital. However, it depends on the business that you're starting, and it depends on the strategy you put in from the beginning. So I would advise that if you're not able to figure this out on your own, find a consultant, find somebody who is able to guide you, or someone who's been in business for many years, especially in your industry, not just for many industries, because I find when you talk to business people who are in a completely different business model, they can misadvise you based on their experience. Find someone who's been in your industry to talk to, and then ask them the nuances. How much do I need to spend on this? How much do I need to put into this business? And if you're not able to find someone who's willing to open up, find a consultant who has experience in that industry, and they'll be able to help you out. Don't walk alone in this journey. It is very difficult, especially if you're cash strapped. This is a very painful process, so it's difficult to walk alone. So I would not advise that you try and figure things on your own, unless you kind of know what you're doing. But really, take the time at this point in your business to step back and relook at where you're going. Because if you're continuously running like a mouse on a mill, you're not going to go anywhere. You're just going to be repeating your problems. If you're throwing money at your problem, it's going to be drowned out, and you're going to get into a lot of trouble. So I hope you've learned something today. I hope this has been beneficial to you. If you still have questions, comments, etc., please just comment below or DM us. We're happy to answer your questions. If you need support, we are here. This is what we do for a living, and we're excited to... Oh, I see we have a question here, a comment. Mr. Bravis, he says this one is really helpful. Thank you so much. We really are hoping to make a transformation in a lot of businesses in this region. We find that we are operating with so many people who are feeling lost in this business space, and we are so grateful if we're going to make a change in one or two businesses, and that is enough for us. So really, we are grateful that even you made it to the end of this video. We are thankful that you just you're open to learn. And let's share. Just comment, DM us, reach out. We want to hear from you. Thank you very much, and have a good one ahead.